What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Day channel. We are here with my son's 2008 Chevy Trailblazer, or the Failblazer as I like to call him. Darth Blazer here has a problem with the alternator. It's been making some noise, and I've determined that the bearing in it is going out. So let me show you. So here's the alternator, and you can hear it squeak. So the bearing is squeaky on this thing. So Darth Blazer is down an alternator, which is really no big deal because I've got Failblazers for days here. And my wife's 03 Failblazer just recently kicked the bucket on us, so it's been replaced by Sylvester, our 04 Failblazer. And I went ahead and pulled the alternator off of this, thinking no big deal, we'll just pull the alternator off of this thing, we'll throw it on Darth Blazer, and we'll be good to go. But it's always something. I should have looked at this before I pulled it apart, but this is the connector, nice and wide. And on the 08 Failblazer, it is a different connector, nice and skinny. So the 03 Failblazer's alternator would not fit on this thing, no way, no how. As frustrating as that is, it's all right. I'll just order another one. All right, so what I ended up doing was going to carparts.com, looking for alternators there. It's really simple to find the parts you need. Just typed in the vehicle information, searched through their alternators, and thought that the AC Delco was the way to go. This is a remanufactured part. There's the part number. Again, the website is super easy to use. Just threw the part in the cart, filled out my payment information and shipping information, and this thing was on my front porch in no time. All right, so there's the part, and you can see that the connector is the proper one. It's the skinny, narrow one. So everything looks good on here. So I've already got this alternator off, but I'm going to show you how I got it off with old footage that I have from the 03 Failblazer when I replaced the alternator on that car. So what I'm going to do is remove this 10mm bolt, and then there are 3 of these 15mm bolts. Pop this wiring harness off of this. I take this bracket off, take the servicing belt off, of course, and go after the bolts for this thing. This air conditioner line runs right in front of the lower bolt. So you have to use like a box end wrench, 15mm, to get that lower bolt out. And then you can just use a socket and get these 2 bolts out. All right, first thing I'm gonna do before I touch anything is remove the negative battery cable. All right, first things first, I need to get my wrench or a breaker bar or something into the tensioner pulley, push down. That'll loosen the belt, and that way we can get the belt off of the pulley of the alternator. For me, it's easier to put a box end wrench on the end of my socket wrench and open it using that kind of leverage. And then I can take this apart, and I'm not bumping into this sensor or this water hose. Okay, this is a 10mm bolt. It's holding this air conditioner line. And then there are 3 15mm bolts that need to come off this bracket. Whew, that puppy was on there. Okay, the bolt that's underneath here, I finally broke it loose. I just end up using a shallow socket to get underneath here because this thing is in the way. If you use an extension in a deep well, this gets in the way, so I switched to a standard socket size and got the 3 bolts out. Alright, so with that out of the way, you can see that we've got a little better access to our alternator bolts. You got 2 15mm up top, 1 directly below the pulley, and the 2 electrical connections. The head of this bolt is lined up almost directly in front of this hose right here. So I'm going to have to use a box end wrench to reach down in there and loosen this bolt and get it out using this thing. There really isn't any space to get my socket wrench down there. I'll pull these 2 bolts out, and I'll loosen this bottom one, and I'll just leave the bolt in there and just pull the whole unit out with that bolt still in there. And once we get that loose, we'll tip it forward and we'll disconnect the 2 electrical connections. Let's It's right there, and again, that hose is in the way. Really difficult to get a ratchet on there. Plus you'll be finding the fan. So I'll just be keeping this wrench in between the fan blades and then just trying to spin this thing off by hand. Okay, to get this bolt here out, I use my universal joint and extension and loosen that one. Worked out quite nicely. So the bolts are ready to come out. Again, I've got the bottom one still in, not connected, but still in the alternator. I'm just going to take it, kind of lift it, and rotate it forward so that I can access the pigtail and lift this tab and push. Push and pull the boot off of this and slide it backwards and get this 10mm nut off the end of that bolt. Wrestling the alternator out of the spot is a little bit tricky. It's got to move to just the right position in order for it to pop out. There are 2 bolt holes here for these long bolts and the one down here for the lower bolt. So we're going to get those in first, and then we'll get all the bracketry back together with the smaller bolts. So all this stuff here is in the way, and it's going to be kind of a pain in the keister, but it's got to be done, folks. It's got to be done. Again, it's not the easiest chore, but it is definitely doable. Kind of have to do this kind of blindly down here. So I got that bottom bolt in its spot, but what I'm going to do first is actually attach the electrical connection and plug in the pigtail. Trying to get that bottom bolt started. There we go. I can feel that I got the bolt started, so we're making progress. I'll go ahead and tighten down these 3 15mm bolts. Okay, for this lower bolt, I highly recommend a ratcheting wrench. You can see I've got my wrench in between the fan blades. So I'm going to be working this up and down between this fan blade to be able to ratchet this bolt down. I'm going to go ahead and put this bracket back on and line up my bolt holes here. Find your home, find your home. There, I think we found it. Alright, that's a pain in the rear end too, but at least it started. And I'll just tighten these all down. So we'll see how well this goes back in. Where are you going? Okay, the alternator is in and everything is tightened down. There was one other little nut that I tightened, and that was for this bracket right here. I loosened it so that I could move this whenever I was removing the alternator. So everything's tightened back down, and then all we have left to do is put on the serpentine belt. Now, I'm going to use this as my guide to make sure I get the belt on properly. I just followed the diagram on the fan shroud. So now I need to loop this around the alternator. And then I like to use my closed end wrench to use as leverage to push down on that serpentine tensioner. Okay, and then I'll just loop this around the power steering pump pulley. There we go. So I can tell it's not quite sitting right on that air conditioning pulley. There we go. That's why it was so hard for me to get it on that power steering pump. Well, we'll fire this thing up and see if it's still making that squeaky noise. Just got to reconnect this negative battery cable or we're not going anywhere. All right, here goes now. All right, so we're cranking at just over 14 volts, so that's a good thing. It's quiet as a church mouse right now. pulley was the problem. It was definitely squeaking. We replaced the water pump on this and it got rid of the squeak, and then that develops and you got to take care of that. So hopefully that's the end of the squeaking. So anyway, that's going to do it for this video. That's how I replaced the alternator on a 2008 Chevy Failblazer. This one aptly called Dark Blazer. If you'd like to see some more Failblazer content, just check out the playlists in my channel. I've got all kinds of repair work on these Failblazers, trust me. Well, that's going to do it for today's video, and as always, thanks for watching. God bless. Be sure and hit that like switch on your way out. We'll see you next time. Special thanks to CarParts.com for sponsoring today's video. Guys, if you're searching for replacement parts for your vehicle, give CarParts.com a look. Their mobile-friendly site makes it super easy to search for and buy parts online anytime, anywhere, giving DIYers a parts store on demand.